look at a brand new exclusive NBC News poll showing exactly how Americans feel about the current and future state of the pandemic and how they feel Biden has so far handled that crisis and others during his early presidency. Overall, Biden's approval rating stands at 53%, with just 39% disapproval. That's better than the failed former president, but slightly lower than what President Obama had. As it relates to the most pressing current crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, nearly 7 in 10 Americans approve of the job Biden is doing. And a plurality of Americans also say that Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan was a good idea, 46% versus 25% who say it was a bad idea. This comes amid big changes in attitude about COVID-19 compared to the autumn, which was a time when Americans were fearful about the pandemic's future. Then, 55% of Americans thought the worst was still to come, with just 25% feeling that the worst was in the past. Now, 61% of Americans feel the worst of the pandemic is behind us. Just 19% say the worst is yet to come. This new NBC News poll also reveals a wealth of information about COVID-19 vaccines. While most Americans, 57%, say they have or plan on getting vaccinated against the deadly disease, a significant number, 12%, say they will never get one. And 7% respond they will only do so if required, both of which may postpone or even prevent the country from reaching herd immunity. And as you can see, the breakdown by political party is stark. Democrats holding a far more positive view on vaccines than Republicans, nearly double the number of Democrats compared to Republicans. 74% to 40% say they've already received a vaccine, and 6 times the number of Republicans say they will never get a vaccine compared to Democrats. 24% to just 4% of Democrats. Joining me now to dive into all
president's performance and how what the public makes of it. This, what you see right here, this is Joe Biden's approval rating, the average approval rating right now. If you take all the different polls that are out there, average them together, he's sitting at a 53.7% approval rating. If you rounded that up, you'd say it's 54%. Now, the high water mark for him actually, about 10 days into his presidency, he was at about 56 in the average. So it's down a tick from that, but really this is the range. It's kind of a mid-50s range. That's where Joe Biden's approval rating has been for this first part of his presidency. To put that into some context, again, if you round that up and say he's at 54% right now, where have all the other recent presidents been at this same point in their presidency? Well, here's the list, and you can see how Biden stacks up. And you do see he's at the lower end here, but he's within a few points of Clinton, of W, HW. They were all, high 50s right there. Here's Biden in the mid-50s. The real divide is right there when you get underneath Joe Biden, because Donald Trump, the only modern president who didn't get above 50% in the honeymoon phase of his presidency, or for that matter, his entire presidency. So you see, Trump was at 45, Biden about 10 points higher than that. And again, lower than some of the others in the past, but above that 50% range. The other thing that's striking about that, though, is he's at 54%, Biden is right now. The legislative item he's about to sign into law here, that COVID relief package, that's a lot more popular. When you poll just that, you see, again, a 70%, this was Pew this week, a 70% favorable rating. People say they support passing, signing into law, enacting that COVID relief package. So that's certainly clocking in very popular right now. How much of that's rubbing off on Biden? And one other thing, as we come to this one-year anniversary here, just a reminder of how public attitudes have changed this year, asking people the question, better off, worse off, your finances. Actually a plurality saying worse off. Remember, before we talked about COVID coming into the year 2020, how optimistic people were in this country when it came to their finances. Obviously not a surprise here, but just a reminder, I think, of how much things have changed.
Hey, NBC News viewers.
So this is really about his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. And it's really important because, I'll show you in a second, a lot of people voted for just that reason. And 2/3 here saying he's handling the pandemic well. And then, even more specifically, Lana, there's the 72% total approval of how he's handling the vaccine distribution. And that's really important because you'll remember his administration set that as a marker going forward, 100 100 days they were going to have a successful rollout. So people think that that's happening. Even, back to Republicans for a second, even almost half of Republicans say he's doing a good job on that, even if they don't approve overall. So that's what bolsters those numbers. He does do well across a lot of other measures. Back to the 2020 election, and we look at where voters thought that Joe Biden would do better on handling the pandemic, that 53% that I show you to Trump's 43, and then Joe Biden turned around and won over 90% of them. So this is really a classic case of people thought you might deliver something, and then 100 days in, they think you're delivering it, and that bolsters your numbers, Lon.